see. And second, and just adding to the pink edge. That's his wing skin. Up with the rest of his body. It's like the edge of his finger skin is meeting up to the tail, so he's a very good glider. Like kind of how bats do. I think that their wings hook up to their feet. But this dragon has no feet, so it hooks up to his tail. I think that in D&D there are gold dragons, and they actually have very long, weird wings that go all the way to the end of their tails, and it makes sense. I call it weird, but it makes sense because then they would actually it's a very efficient, very aerodynamic design. It makes it so that they don't have to spend as much time flapping like this guy would do. To fly, they spend most of it just letting the wind pass under their wing. Some wings, like airplane wings, are curved on the top because instead of letting as much air be under, what they do is the curved top of it makes it so that the air molecules actually pass faster over the top than the bottom, which makes it so that there's more pressure, I think, on the bottom part. Yeah, there's more pressure on the bottom part. Yeah, because it's a longer distance. If you imagine a curved wing, this is a side section of an airplane wing. If the same amount of air passes over the wing as under the bottom, and it's the same volume of air, these particulates on the top are actually passing faster, and so the pressure on the wing is what creates lift. These bat wings that this dragon has are not like that. They are gliders, which means that he has to spend a lot of energy flapping his wings and trying to find thermal areas to float on, like wind pressure. Actually, I feel like there are some birds that have curved wings on the top like that. I couldn't tell you which, but I do think that there are. Quote me on that. I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I've been in any classes. Let's see. I'm gonna add a few more spikes, I think. A little bit, just to make it not completely smooth. I think I might, the darkness shouldn't extend this far up, so I'm gonna take this purple and come over this area like that with my paintbrush. They'll make this edge of this wing a little bit darker, so they're not blending together too much. And these edges of these spikes are actually going to be shadowed just a little bit. So I'm going to add my shadow line to the edges of these spines, like that. That's enough detail at that distance that you can tell what's going on. You can tell that there's shadow. Probably the next thing this weird boxy dragon guy needs is maybe more lines to his chest. I've added a couple, but not enough. Kind of weird lines. Snakes have these lines, and that's why people draw them like this. That's where I got this from. If I had perspective in this drawing, which I'm supposed to and don't, these belly lines would actually follow that perspective. They would converge. They're on a flat plane. And I don't have that, so I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it. I'm gonna kind of eyeball which direction these lines should go. Let's see. The edits so far on the dragon. Nice, it's nice. I think I might add a little bit of red glow around these tips of the wing. The light's bouncing off on the bottom. So just blending the paint a little bit together. I'm going to blend in this purple edge and this dark edge a little bit more. I like that. That's nice. Add more lines, I think, because I've added some. I've got to add them everywhere. That's kind of a big part of painting, where kind of have to be consistent. Texture with your type of brush strokes with your colors. So I can't just add belly lines to the top of this dragon. I have to add them everywhere. I have to add them everywhere. Belly. I don't mean adding like belly lines to the clouds. That would be silly. Very intentional. His skin on this side doesn't actually extend as far as the skin on this side does. Might be because of the way he's stretching. I'm not sure how weird that looks. It could look a little weird. I'm going to add a little bit of bounce light to his chest. It wouldn't be that much, but the ground would be bouncing up a little bit of cool, cool green light, I think. Not a great deal, but just enough. Bounce light kind of makes things feel like they're in a very real lit space. Light doesn't just bounce and get absorbed by most things. It reflects and it bounces and it takes on sort of the color properties of the things that it bounces off of. A little bit like the metal sword I painted earlier, but less obvious. And bounce light's kind of one of those things where if you don't like it, not painting it isn't the end of the world. It's just sort of kind of like a final touch sort of thing. You wouldn't even, most people who aren't painters would have a hard time putting their finger on what's different if you showed them something with bounce light and without bounce light. I think. At least I had a hard time at first before I learned about it. I also feel like this shadow's still too dark.